Hey, I'll keep an eye on the chat and just see if anybody pops in, and we'll just add everybody as they come in. But we'll go ahead and get it going. First and foremost, I want to say thanks you guys for not only getting on this Zoom call, but also for being part of the program this year. Corey and I are super excited. We've been talking about the levels of talent that we have returning and some excitement around some new players that have really piqued our interest and that we're really excited to have in the program. I don't know who was at tryouts, but the turnouts were really, really good. A lot of talent. Um, for the first time in 4 years, we have a girl that's going to play on the boys' side, which is super exciting. The last girl that we had that played on the boys' side had a wildly successful high school career and is off to college here in the next couple weeks. And so we're really excited about a lot of different things that are going to happen. Uniforms, we're going back to our original colors that we used from 2016 to 2023. We're going back to university red, navy blue, white, and then a little hint of gold. And so there's a lot of things that we're excited about. Corey and I have been kind of in communication every day since tryouts, even while he was down in Vegas with the then seventh graders who will now be on the eighth grade team. So a lot of good stuff going. So I'll kind of just give my spiel first. Um, for all the new parents, when I do these, I think you guys have a way in the chat bubble to either like ask a question or raise a hand or do something, but I'll leave the chat bubble open and then I'll also keep an eye on anybody else who joins so we can patch them in. But if you have a question, just go ahead and type it in the chat bubble at the bottom, and then I'll touch base on it. And if it's something that I'm going to get to or going to cover, I probably won't address it right then. I'll just kind of chime in on it when I get to that point in the presentation. So first things first, outside of us being excited for you guys to be here, I'd like to just dive right in with the expectations on and off the court for the players. So as a high school basketball coach, I do look at these players as student athletes, even though we don't have an academic expectation. I do want you as parents to know that as a coach and as a parent, I don't want basketball to be a precedence over their academics. In the past, I think probably every season that we've had the legacy program going on 10 years now, we've had a parent say, hey, he's slacking off in the classroom or schoolwork's fallen by the wayside. And so anytime you as parents need to take basketball away because the academics aren't where they need to be, just know that I've been a parent a lot longer than I've been a basketball coach, and I'm going to have you guys' back 100% of the time. If that becomes an issue or becomes a situation, give me a call, shoot me a text. Same thing with Coach Corey. Um, we kind of have a procedure in how we handle those things as far as having kids come to games, but they don't play in the games, having them come to practices, but they can't do certain drills, or just having them miss practices to get schoolwork done. And so even though we don't have the same academic expectations like a high school basketball team, if the grades start slipping, have a conversation with us, and we'll support you guys in whatever decisions you have as far as using basketball as kind of leverage for getting grades back on track. For the players, obviously these guys are young and they're not driving themselves to and from practices and games. So that does fall on the parents. Um, so we tend to not punish kids if they're late for practice for that reason. With that said, I'm just going to give you a warning, especially you new parents. Your kids might be obnoxiously, annoyingly persistent about getting them to practice on time. In an ideal world, and I know based off the start times of practices, based off the location and traffic, and there's so many other variables that are out of our control. But in an ideal world, we'd like them there 10 minutes ahead of time. That way they can get their shoes on, they can be ready to get on the court and get going right as soon as we get going. And some of you new parents, when we get into our season, you'll see Corey and I will ask them to be there 15 to 20 minutes ahead of time. So if we need to have any last second reviews or talk about anything, we can do it and not compromise or shorten our warm up time for our game. So if they can be early, then they can be on time. But again, that'll kind of come down to a few variables. When they are at practice, be coachable, listen. We are going to implement a lot of different things for new parents. And I know I keep addressing new parents. The returners have kind of been through this process, but in a comp program, we run a lot of different things. So whether it's drills, whether it's offensive plays, defensive rotations, baseline inbound plays, sideline inbound plays, presses, zone defenses, traps. Um, we're gonna throw a lot at these kids, but Corey and I have been very successful in helping kids know what they need to know and learn what they need to learn and progress throughout their elementary and middle school years into high school and prepare them for high school tryouts. So we do, to an extent, we do have a level of the high school influence on every age group, even the fifth graders, learning things like defensive rotations and shell drills and 5-man weaves to 3-on-2, 2-on-1s. It is a little advanced for the younger guys, but the sooner they pick it up, the better prepared they are for whatever we throw at them next. So if the kids get frustrated or if they feel overwhelmed, tell them be coachable, ask their teammates questions. Most importantly, ask their coach questions. Corey will definitely echo this when he gets on, but I would much rather have a parent or a player, honestly, and I've had parents ask too, but ask questions about the system, ask questions about players' roles, ask questions about, hey, when we're running UCLA 2, is my son supposed to do this? And so we we welcome those open dialects with players, and I've had several sport savvy parents ask me about their kids' role on their team or what they can do to contribute to the team a little bit more or play different positions. And so those are conversations that Corey and I have had a lot of in the last. So this will be Corey and I's fifth year working together, sixth year. I don't know, I lost track. Um, but we have those conversations and we don't shy away from them. And if it's a conversation that a parent wants to have, we're open to it. But we would definitely encourage you to encourage your children to have conversations with us about whatever they have questions about or their role or the offense or anything. Um, Other than that, I think we progressively build relationships. And that's for me the best part of being a coach and being a director of a program is the kids that are shy at the beginning open up a little bit. And then you guys have a moment of he did something great or she did something great, and it kind of catapults that player coach relationship, which eventually for a lot of us turns into genuine friendships with a player coach relationship as well. And it helps with parents too. When I can communicate with parents and give parents advice to pass on to the players, that makes our jobs as directors and coaches a little bit easier, and it gives parents some clarity into the role and the expectations for their players. And so, all you new parents, any returning parents who might have a new coach this year, I I welcome you guys to get to know me, ask me questions. I'll probably be asking a lot of questions about different things and off the court just so I can understand the dynamic that some of our new players are coming from. But conversations are always welcome. I don't shy away from them. Corey doesn't shy away from them. We encourage them. Um, for parents at the games, for so we'll go practice. Practice parents are 100% welcome to watch practice. I know some of you guys hung out during tryouts, which was really fun, and we were able to have some conversations about some of the drills and some of the things that we had kind of put them through in tryouts. We welcome all the parents. If you have a long commute and you don't want to leave and come back, hang out at Sports City. They have a Wi-Fi connection. Bring your work computers, hang out, watch practice. The I've had a few, and I'm just gonna say dads because it's been dads, but we've had moms that have helped us coach in the past. I've had dads recently ask about assistant coaching roles. Corey and I have had a conversation. We're 100% open to dads that are probably not dads, parents that'll probably be at practice and be at the games, coming out on the court, helping with drills, getting to know the players, getting to know the system, offense, defense, baseline inbounds, the whole system. In the past, we've discounted monthly fees for some of the parents that have helped. And we've also made special arrangements for parents that ultimately ended up being the head coach of their kids' team. Corey and I are not against parent coaches, but what we would do is for the fall season, it would kind of be a mentor program where we'd probably come to your games, sit on the bench, not micromanage your team, not tell you who to sub in and out, but just kind of observe from a firsthand perspective. And then anything that we noticed that we could help you out with, it would kind of be a progressive on the job training or on the job coaching through the fall season. And ideally, between 8 games in the fall, 2 practices a week for a couple of months by the beginning of the winter season. If your player is a returner in the winter season, we just kind of let you fly and do your thing, and we kind of just go from there. So if coaching as an assistant and helping is something you're interested in, or if you're interested in being a head coach for your son or daughter's team, feel free to reach out to Corey and I, and we can have a conversation around that. Um, we are we've been really fortunate over the last 10 years to not have rambunctious parents. With that said, we'll just kind of throw the disclaimer out at the beginning, and if it becomes an issue, then we can have a side conversation. But we've had a lot of support from parents being at games, rooting for the boys, just cheering and supporting and bringing waters and Gatorades and all the things that wonderful parents do. We don't we haven't had an issue with parents like heckling the other teams or trash talking. And there are some programs out there where the parents are not as well behaved, but we've been fortunate not to have any issues. Um, and let's keep it that way. No heckling other players, other parents on other teams, no yelling at the refs. Refs will usually tell your coach, hey, calm your parents down or something like that. But rambunctious parents haven't been an issue in the past, which has been great because we've coached against teams that have rambunctious parents, and they're the level of obnoxiousness is crazy. Um, so no heckling, cheer for your players, cheer for the team, support, be loud in a positive way, bring positive energy. Kids listen to familiar voices, and if you're cheering your boys on, it'll kind of fuel them. Let the coaches coach. Please don't yell out, shoot it. Please don't yell out, go get the ball, because that may not be a play for your son to go get the ball. So let the coaches coach. Um, and if there's anything as a parent that you want to discuss with the coach, this is the general hierarchy that we've maintained over the last 10 years, really. If you have an issue, let's address the issue and then have a calm down period. So hypothetically, your son doesn't play in the last 10 minutes of a game and you're pretty upset about it. Text your coach and say, "Hey coach, can we talk about whatever your situation is, whatever your concern is?" Give the coach time to get get his thoughts together. If he knows what you're wanting to have a conversation about, he can kind of prepare whatever he needs to for that conversation. Give it a 24-hour window and have a conversation the next day. What likely will happen is you'll have your concern, coach will address your concern. It may or may not be what you wanted to hear, but a lot of times there's more to some of these concerns. And if parents come in hot and want to yell and argue and be defensive or confrontational about certain things, there's usually a better way to go about it. Um, I had a conversation with a parent where their kid didn't play in the last 8 minutes of a game. Dad called me. He said, "Hey, can we have a talk tomorrow about whatever happened?" I said, "Sure." We got on the call and he said, "My son didn't play in the last 8 minutes of the game and I need to know why." And I said, "Did you ask your son?" And he said, "Well, no, because he's not the coach and he doesn't control the rotation." I said, "Okay, well let's put your son on let's put the phone on speaker. Go get him and let's have a conversation right now." And I asked the kid, I said, "What did I tell you when I subbed you out at the beginning of the second half? If it happens again, then I can't play you in this game anymore." And the kid said what I told him. And then I said, "And then what happened after I subbed you back in?" And the kid said, "Well, I lost my man and I blew a defensive assignment and I was out of position and I didn't run the play the right way." I said, "And then what did I do?" And he said, "And then you took me out the game and didn't put me back in." And I said, "Did you explain this to your dad?" And he said, "Nope." And I said, "Okay, well, looks like you two need to have a conversation. My work here is done." And so I think if that dad would have tried to have a conversation with me, it probably wouldn't have went the same way. If I tried to have that conversation when he was frustrated and upset. So if you want to have a conversation, contact the coach, say, "Hey coach, tomorrow can we get on a call and talk about whatever your issue is and address it that way?" Um, Other than that, like I said, we've been super, 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 super fortunate to not have bad parents. And I'm excited because I've been able to talk to some of you parents before tryouts and during tryouts. Obviously, we had a few kids come from the 2025 Nike camp that I did this past couple weeks ago or in July. And so I got to know those parents and I trained some of you guys. And so I've got to know the parents that way. I'm super excited. I love meeting parents. I always say without parents, none of this is possible. So whether you're on a team that I coach or not, you'll see me at practices, you'll see me at the games, even the teams that I don't coach. If you're a new parent, feel free to come over and say hi and introduce yourself. If you're a returning parent, same thing, still come by and say hi. Um, that that is it for the parent side. I'll really quickly I'll touch on play metrics and the leagues, and then I'll let Corey chime in. Um, excuse me. For this year, we're going to use a platform called Playmetrics. Playmetrics is going to make Corey's job and my job a lot easier. And essentially, I told Corey that we need to work smarter, not harder. Not that there's anything wrong with hard work, but if there's tools in place to make that hard work easier, we need to maximize and utilize those. So, with the Playmetrics program, we will finish all the back end stuff over the next throughout this week. And then what we'll do is we'll send everybody a link for you to accept your spot on the team, even though I know you've already accepted it. What it'll do is it'll allow me to group players together by their teams, and obviously you double roster guys that we've talked to. Your kid will be in two different groups, but it'll simplify the process of me saying, we have this many players, the league fee is this much. We're going to split it into X amount evenly between the committed players, and I can just send you a link, and then you'll just pay through that link, which will make my job a lot easier of keeping track of who's paid what and who hasn't. It'll also make the process of monthly payments significantly easier. You'll have a card on file. That card will run on the first of each month. That will speed up the process of me being able to pay for our gym rentals and pay for some of the things that we need to pay, that as I'm collecting money individually from everybody, it kind of creates this log jam of money coming in and when I send it out and who's paid and who hasn't, and spreadsheets and all these other factors. And so by using Playmetrics, it's going to make the the financial side of things a lot easier for me, and it'll make it a lot easier for you as parents because you'll have a card on file. If you want to use the same card, then you'll just click OK and you'll just hit a couple buttons and it'll process whatever that payment is, whether it's a tournament fee, a league fee, um, whatever we're doing, merch, you guys, we're going to do backpacks, we're going to do some more hoodies, we're going to do some t-shirts, we're going to do a bunch of cool stuff. So it'll just simplify the process of you guys being able to pay things without having to give me money so that I can give someone else your money. So Playmetrics will be super user friendly. It'll break down all your monthly payments, and then you'll get the link every season for whatever those league fees are. And then the new people who come in, it'll just kind of simplify the process of all the that first month in the uniform order and the numbers and all that fun stuff. Um, Leagues for new parents, we're going to do 4 leagues. So the way that we refer to it is if I say the year, so if I say last year, then I'm talking about the 24-25 school year. If I say last season, then it breaks down into a fall season, a winter 1 season, a winter 2 season, and then a spring season. So I know you guys saw all of that on the news. No, it wasn't in the newsletter. It was in the offer letter. Um, So that will be season by season. I know we have some multi-sport kids that are probably going to miss, spring season if they're playing baseball. We have some football kids that aren't going to be here until late October, early November. And so this will simplify that process of making sure the kids playing in a certain season are paid for, and then we can make sure that the league fee is split up evenly, fairly. Um, the fall league will start in August, or I think the fall league starts at the beginning of September, I think. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure it starts at the beginning or the middle of September. Um, Winter will start in no winter 1 starts in November, right after football season. Winter 2 starts in January, right after New Year's, and Winter 3 starts in April, and that one will go to the end of the summer. I've had some of the new parents ask, what do we do between the time school's out and like around now? And what we do is we do a lot of tournaments in the summer because there's not a summer league. And so, we'll have teams that go play in Farmington, we'll have teams playing Lehigh. Uh, at the end of July, beginning of August, Corey took one of the older teams, the seventh graders, now our eighth grade team, down to Las Vegas. 2 weeks prior to that, we took the, at the time, fifth and sixth graders down to Las Vegas. And so the more the more people want to keep playing through the summer with Big Mountain Jams and Rocky Mountain Showcases, Great Western Classics. There's a ton of tournaments that we can do in the summer. And so we still practice between June and August. We put them in tournaments. I know there's a tournament coming up pretty soon up in Farmington. It's kind of a back to school kind of thing. Salt Lake County has a back to school kind of thing. So there's a lot of tournaments that happen during the time of year that we don't have leagues. And so when people ask, is it a year round or a seasonal program? Technically, we are year round because we will play in tournaments all the way up until the week before tryouts. And sometimes even during tryouts, which isn't a normal occurrence, but it was a really good opportunity for the boys to go to Vegas. And so we ran tryouts and then we ended up putting the seventh graders in that Vegas tournament. So we'll keep you guys all in the loop with that through the Play Metrics. Once you guys have the app downloaded, we'll be able to send out stuff about polls for tournaments and things like that. We'll still use our GroupMe. I think Corey and I are just spoiled by GroupMe because we're used to creating events and creating schedules and adding parents and removing parents and pinning things. And so as we kind of work through the learning curve of Play Metrics, we're still going to use GroupMe for mass communication. It's just easy. And everybody has it, or most people have it. And if you're on this call and we haven't added you, I know that there's 2 or 3 of you guys that we need to add. I know we need to, yeah, we got a couple of you guys. We'll add you guys, but we'll get everybody up and running tonight and tomorrow. And then my last little bit of information is on tomorrow. So practices do start tomorrow. I want to apologize for the miscommunication with the gym where we had a schedule and then we had to change the schedule. We did our best to keep the days the same. So we're staying Tuesday, Thursday. But for the rest of August, Tuesday will go from 6 to 9. So 6 to 7:30, 7:30 to 9. And then in September, both days go 5 to 8. So Tuesday in August, we'll go 6 to 7:30 for fifth and sixth grade, 7:30 to 9 for seventh, eighth, and ninth. But the seventh red team will practice in the 6 to 7:30 window. Thursday is going to be our normal schedule. So Thursday will go 5 to 6:30, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. So gold and red, all 3 grades. And then, nope, that's not right. Fifth grade, sixth grade, 5 to 6:30, seventh gold, seventh red. All the eighth graders and the ninth graders will go in the second window, the 6:30 to 8 window. So we'll make sure that it's out there, that everybody has it. I know I put it in the GroupMe. I'll start pinning important stuff so that you guys can always see it at the top of your group me without having to scroll through and try to find it. When we do, availability for tournaments, we'll create a spreadsheet and we'll just say, hey, this tournament is on this day to this day. It's in this city. It's this much per team. Check if say yes or no to which events your kids are available for. And that's kind of how Corey and I have managed tournament availability in the past, and it's worked really well. So once we have that, then we can create your payment links and send it out and make sure that um, everything will be uh, factored in. When will Skills Days start up? Will that be at Sport City as well? Tommy, Corey, and I are going to figure that out. We've kind of balanced out a practice schedule. So the parents that are not familiar, last year, so the 24-25 school year, we had a skill session where it wasn't part of a team practice. No actual team concepts were worked on. But what we did was we opened up a certain amount of spots and we kind of put the younger guys in one group and the older guys in one group, and we just let the parents pick and choose which days worked for them. Through the skills days, it was really beneficial for the parents because we were able to work on individual skills where we don't have a ton of time to work on individual stuff in a team practice setting. So team practices were running plays and terminology and defensive rotations and understanding how to play as a team, where our skills days were nice because in the skills days, we were able to work on shot mechanics. We were able to work on footwork. We were able to work on ball handling. We were able to work on little individual skills that they would bring into their team practices to help speed up their development individually. So we're figuring that out. There is an option of a gym that we may be able to use. Um, Sport City may be an option. We're still working that out, but we'll fine tune that and we'll get that information for you guys ASAP. Which leagues and divisions will we play in? For example, Youngblood, Salt Lake Super League, etc. Okay, Mitch, great question. So all of our teams will play in the Salt Lake Super League for whichever division the head coach feels is going to be the best competition. So I don't have
Hardshake,
a cut and,
super shake гэдэг
I don't
юу
have
хоолны
a
нэр юм.
cut and dry answer to say like everybody's going to play Division One in this league. Um, that's kind of what we're going to use these first couple of practices for, is to just evaluate our talent, see what level we play in. Most of our gold teams will play either Division One or Division Two. Most of them. Um, most of the red teams, kind of based on the level of talent, could go anywhere from Division Two to Division Three. We don't historically, we haven't had multiple teams that played in Division Four. Most of our teams are Division Three, Two, or One, but that's kind of where we will go based off the talent from the team. As far as young blood, I love the competition in that league. If we are competitive in our respective league, then that becomes an option. Historically, young blood wants teams that were in Division One that finished in the top three or four in their league to come to young blood, because young blood is the most competitive and best competition in a league in youth basketball in the county. Um, Now, if we're not competitive in Division Two, or if we're in Division One and we're at 500, or if we're seven out of 12 teams, we're not ready for young blood. And there's really no advantage in putting kids in a level of competition they're not ready for. I absolutely love the Young Blood League. I know Kendall. I know a lot of people who've played in it. I also know a lot of people who've never played in Young Blood, who have never played in a Division I game, but they learned what they needed to know for high school tryouts and they still made their team. Um, Corey had a team last year of ninth graders. I think we had 9 or 10 kids on the team. We played Division II. I think we went 500, and none of those kids in eighth or ninth, well, Youngblood is middle school, but none of the kids made a Youngblood team. Our team wasn't competitive enough to play in the Youngblood League. We didn't get invited to the Youngblood League. And then Corey turned around and put 8 out of those 10 kids on their freshman or sophomore teams in ninth grade. So is Youngblood nice? Yes. Is the competition great? Absolutely. Um, is $2,200 for the season awesome? No. But at the same time, it's the best competition in the city, but I see kids all the time progress and get better in elementary and middle school and learn what they need to learn and not play in young blood and not play Division I. It comes down to the coaching and the work ethic of the players. And so we'll kind of cross the young blood bridge when we get to it. But if we put hypothetically, say we put our fifth grade gold team in Division I and they lose a championship, I'm going to feel really good about calling Kendall and saying, hey, we came up short at the very end of the season. Let us come in and compete with your best teams in the state. And that's an easy conversation to have. So same thing will be kind of the determining factor when we do Jam On It tournaments, when we do Rocky Mountain Showcase, when we do Big Mountain Jam. We'll kind of base the level that we put the team in off how well we've been doing in the past leagues. And so if we're not playing Division I, it's not the end of the world. I know the status of being a Division I team and the status of being a young blood team is really amazing. But I can tell you as a high school basketball coach, when I was at American Prep Academy, when I was at Bingham, or now at East, I have never asked a kid what his seventh grade AAU record was. Never. I've never asked a kid, hey, when you were in fifth through eighth grade, did you play young blood? I've never asked them that. I want to know, do they know how to roll off a pick and roll? I want to know, do they box out and high point a rebound? I want to know if they know how to throw a bounce pass on a back cut or when to throw a pass over the top. I want to know, do they know how to feed the post? Do they know how to move without the ball? I've never once asked a kid, hey, did you play in the young blood league between fifth and eighth grade? So I'd love to play in it if we're ready for it. If we're not, it's not the end of the world. Um, So yeah, that's my spiel. I'm gonna go ahead and let Corey unmute his and just kind of chime in on anything that he might have. And then after Corey's done, I know we have a fair amount of new parents. Um, and so we'll kind of open up a Q&A, but I'll let Corey chime in and give his spiel.
Hey, thank you, Landon. So I'm not going to repeat a bunch of what Landon said, even though I agree with him a bunch. I'm just going to hit on the few points that I had and then just open it up to the parents. Um, so our primary communication will be through GroupMe until we figure that one app out. But GroupMe is just super nice, reliable. We've used it forever. I do those weekly updates. So that weekly update that everyone saw in GroupMe that happens weekly. I update what's going on with the team, practices, games, all that fun stuff. I'll throw polls in for tournaments that start soon for the teams we feel are ready, different things like that. So have your notifications on for GroupMe because we do a lot of different things that way. I create like game events and different things, and we go off the RSVPs and certain things like that. So as long as we can just be a tent on GroupMe, You don't have to comment on everything. Just
Corey,
like
let
the
them know about the
messages you
homework
see
too.
about the what?
The homework, how we post the drills and stuff that the boys need to
Oh
do.
yeah. 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 So when we do skills and different things like that, we'll do like a skills group me that everyone can join once we set that up. But then even without that, I'll group me to the team, or I mean, not group me. I'll give a bunch of homework to the team, have them do it. If people don't do it, we run because of it. It's just shooting drills, different things like that, ball handling work. So we like to try to give homework out per week that they're all working on. We slacked on that at the end of last year, but I'll get back on the high road on that one. But uh, yeah, so other than group me, uh, I'll be like the main communication guy. All your communication can go through me. I'm the director, obviously. So, and then when Landon's off doing his stuff, yeah, everything will go through me. But just so everyone knows, we try to stay ahead on the gym schedule. So in case Sports City has something that comes up and I try to post that as far in advance and keep reminders for people, keep posting reminders and group me. But we try to stay as far ahead on the Sports City schedule as we can to make sure we're not missing practice. And if we do, try to get it changed to a different time to work it out that way. Um, yeah, other than that, start of the year this year, a lot of defense conditioning. I hold all of my players, whether they're fifth grade, even if they're not on my team. I consider all the players that play for Legacy my players. I hold them all to a very high standard of accountability. Um, Practice hard, play harder, and then yeah, we're gonna start off defense and conditioning this year. I'm just excited to get going, so I'm excited for tomorrow to start. Other than that, Landon, that's really all I had for everyone, so we can open it up to questions.
Yeah, great. Thanks, man. So a couple of you guys already hit the chat with questions. If you would like, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can type it in the chat. Or um, I think most of you already have my cell phone number, but if you don't, you're more than welcome to shoot me a text. Or respond to the emails. You can direct message me and group me, but that's probably the least effective way to get in touch with me. But if you can text me or call me or even send me a message and group me and say, "Hey, coach, I have a question I want to ask and I didn't want to ask it in the call," then I'm more than okay having conversations um with you guys. Okay, I just got a text, so I'll just kind of read off the text and I'll respond to it here. Obviously, some of you guys already know me, so you guys have my cell phone number and you've already been texting me. So it asked, what are we doing with red teams that don't have full rosters? Wonderful question. Thank you. Um, so this is what we're going to do. As of right now, we're going to have red teams and gold teams practice together. We have players from fifth, sixth, seventh and eighth grade, and actually two ninth graders. So we literally have anywhere between 3 and 5 kids for every age group that registered for tryouts that were either out on vacation. They came to one day of tryouts and not the second day. They um a lot of different stuff. Okay. So what we are doing is we have a couple of different things that we're sending out to bring in 3 or 4 more kids for fifth, sixth, eighth, and ninth grade. I think our seventh grade rosters are actually pretty solid. I'm really excited to get to work with our seventh graders. Um, I think both sides, red and gold sides, are both going to be pretty competitive. We've got some newer players on the red side, but just through the 2 days of tryouts, I was super excited to see some of the potential on the red team. On the seventh grade side, for the new parents, I coach the sixth graders last year, so the seventh graders this year. So I I will be at both. I'll be at the full day of practices, and I'll be helping Corey with his teams. And then when my teams are practicing, Corey and I will be on opposite sides of the court. So what we're going to do is we are going to aggressively try to recruit a few more kids for fifth, sixth, eighth, and ninth grades. If you guys have nephews, if cousins, your kids have friends that might want to play, reach out to us. For the returning parents that kind of brought in their friends and family, we kind of did a referral credit kind of thing. And so we'll still open that up to you new parents. If your son is in fifth grade and he's got some friends from school that want to play, and we get in touch with them and have them come in for an evaluation. If they end up committing to the program, we have a little referral bonus that we kick back to you guys. And then we also have a social media kind of marketing thing that we're going to do with the help of the guy who runs the biggest league in the state, the Salt Lake County Super League. He's got a bunch of followers on his social media platform, so he's going to post some stuff on there. And then there's a website that parents who are looking for kids or looking for teams for their kids can go to. We're going to post on there. And I'm going to do some in-person recruiting at some of the county rec games. Just it's more or less like junior jazz outside of jazz season, but there's always a couple of kids playing at that level whose parents don't know how to get involved in comp basketball. And those kids are always the why is he here? Why isn't he playing somewhere else kind of kids. We're going to go get those kids and bring them in so that we can balance out the teams. Um, the head coach of the seventh grade red team. So Danielle, right now, I'm coaching both teams because what we're going to do is just have them practice together, and then as we get into the games in the season, what I'll do is I'll request for the games to be back to back. That is one of the teams that I've been contacted by one of the parents that I've worked with before about him possibly coaching the seventh red team. I'm going to have a conversation with him tomorrow. Um, and whether I end up being the head coach or not, if I'm not the head coach, because the red team and the gold team will practice at the same time, they're going to learn the same system. So I ultimately would become the red team's assistant coach, and the red team's coach would ultimately be my assistant coach. And what we would normally do is just request to put our games back to back. And so, and you'll see in our schedule, there's a lot of times where you'll show up somewhere and there'll be a legacy team playing. And then by the end of the game, you see another legacy team warming up. And then you look at the next court over and there's another legacy team. So we've been doing this for so long that the league directors are super accommodating when it comes time to build schedules and stuff. So if I needed to coach two, then I can, because we won't have schedule conflicts. If we have a new coach or a dad coach come in, then we run practice together. I run my practice, he runs his. But as those things kind of start forming, we'll communicate it with the players and with the parents as well. Um, JJ, if my kid makes the high school freshman team, how does that work? That's a wonderful question. So UHSAA, Utah High School at Utah High School Athletic Association is very, very strict about kids playing club sports and high school sports in the same season. So what we've done over the last, so the first, so 6 years, what we've done is kids who make their high school teams cannot play until their high school season is over, which is in the middle or late February. So ninth grade, you make your high school team, you go off, your high school team is your focus, you get into the system and learn your high school stuff. And then what we do is at the beginning of March every year, we reach back out to the parents and we say, hey, would you like to come back and play in the spring? Now, as a high school coach, I cannot explain in words how busy the month of June was. It was it was insane. It's team camp month. All you guys that are ninth graders that make your high school teams, your high school team is your priority. The purpose of the program is to get you guys ready for your high school teams. And so that month of June, we usually don't have a lot of things for our high school kids because they're playing in team camps. But in March, April, and May, we'll have spring leagues, we'll have tournaments, we'll have tons of stuff that they can do to still be playing and still be doing things in a basketball environment that's outside of their high school. Um, we 100% understand that your high school team will take priority over your club team because your club team is there to get you ready for that level. Um, but if you make the high school team, we always give you an option to come back. We get the band back together, and then we play some more between April, or we go March, April, May. We lose you guys in June. We come back in July and August and do some tournaments. And then we get you guys ready for the fall, which leads you back into sophomore year tryouts. Now, in the case that you do not make the high school team, what we do is we wait until high school tryouts are over that second week of November. I think we can start tryouts on the 10th of November. So usually by the 14th or 15th, every school in the state is done because a lot of schools will start games on the 19th or 20th. So what we'll do is we'll let everybody kind of get through their tryouts. And then right at the end of November, we'll say, hey, who didn't make their school team, who wants to play in a winter league? The league that we play in, Winter One and Winter Two, have high school divisions. So there'll be a freshman, a sophomore, and then they kind of combine the JV varsity divisions. Then we have an opportunity for them to keep playing, keep getting coached, figure out what they need to get better at from tryouts. And then we kind of focus on some of those things throughout the winter and spring. So by the time they get back to team camps or whatever they end up doing with the high school in the spring, hopefully between November and March, they've become a better player, and now their coaches are looking at them as possible guys to make the team the next year. We had a few kids. Most recently, Hartman got cut as a sophomore. He came and played winter one, winter two, spring ball, went back to Brighton. His coaches were really impressed with him by the time he got to spring ball in June. He played really well. He came back. He played some fall ball stuff with us, and then he made his high school team as a junior. And he was playing on the JV game in the Brighton, or he was playing at the JV level in the Brighton game last year. So kids that don't make the team as freshmen, we have opportunities for them to keep playing and keep working and getting ready for next year's tryouts. Um, Time frame on getting new uniforms. As soon as you guys fill out the form, I can order them. So I think we had 52 kids that we were doing uniforms for, and we've got 43 of them. 43 of you guys have filled out the form. So as soon as we have everybody's sizes and everything, then we can order them. Ideally, I'd like to do it before the end of this week. It takes them about 2 to 3 weeks. So I think if we get them in by the end of the week, we'll probably have them at the end of that first week in September, which will be plenty of time because I think the league starts like the 13th or the 18th or something. Um, what I'll do is I'll bring the list tomorrow. Um, I'll go through every single player, returners, new guys. Um, we'll just kind of make sure that I know you guys put three different numbers on there, but I'll kind of tell them the number that was first. And if they had a conflicting number, uh, so fifth grade gold, two kids wanted the number 14, and whoever time stamped first got 14, and then the other kid got a different number. So um, I'll I'll go through all of that. I mean, the first day of practice with a brand new season, honestly, like the first day of the year, it's almost like the first day of school. Like we're gonna get in and it's gonna be a lot of introductions and meeting each other and talking and going through the uniform stuff and making sure they got the numbers they wanted. And then we'll get on the court and get things rolling. But that first day, we kind of cross all the T's and dot the I's so that we can get the uniforms ordered as soon as possible. So the new parents for you guys, and I don't know how many of you followed the social media because I've been posting them, they'll get a reversible practice jersey. So please try to have them put that in a bag or a backpack or something where they'll have it every practice, and then if you need to take it out and wash it over the weekend or whatever. um, but they'll have a practice jersey. We would love them to have their practice jersey every practice. It'll have a red side and a blue side, and it just works for scrimmages and different stuff like that. And then they'll have a reversible game jersey and reversible game shorts. What our kids last year did was sometimes they would wear their practice jersey with their game shorts. So it felt like they had multiple uniform combinations. So I kind of took that into consideration when we redesigned the new uniforms. Their practice jersey with their game shorts would look really cool, but the practice jersey will be blue and white. The game jerseys are white and navy blue, are the reversible. So, um, yeah, hopefully tomorrow I go through the whole list. I get everybody's correct numbers. If they want to change their number, they can let me know. I have them broken down into groups as far as their teams, so we don't have anybody ordering duplicate numbers. And then hopefully um, we can do their uniform order by the end of this week. Um, the names on the back of the jerseys. So historically, we have not put their names on the back of their jerseys. We did it at the very, very beginning. Um, it we didn't do it in the following years because what we would end up doing is ordering extra jerseys. So if we had new kids show up and we needed a quote unquote loaner jersey, they didn't have the jersey on with no name, and then everybody else had their names on them. Um, it doesn't cost us anything. It doesn't take any extra time. The sublimation process is all pretty streamlined and systematic as far as they just type, information in. There's been a few times where they've spelt a name wrong or I sent it in wrong, and so we had to replace that jersey, which is one thing that we can avoid if we don't have the numbers on them. But it's not something that I'm against. Um, I'll talk to Corey after the call, and if that's something we end up doing, then we'll talk to the kids when we verify, and we'll just say, hey, this is, the last name you want. Do you want this one or this one? Um, my son has a different name, different last name than I have. And so when he played football, by default, they put my last name on it. He wanted his mom's last name. And so it became a huge ordeal, but it's not something I'm against. But yeah, we just haven't done it historically in the past to avoid misspelled names and having to reorder jerseys and all that fun stuff. But it's not something I'm against. We could do it. Um, somebody else had another question. Give me one sec. Let me find my message and see if I can find the other question. Oh, we already talked about that one. Um, I think that's it. Anybody else have any questions? Feel free to throw it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you need to. Uh,
Where do you expect the most of the games to be played at?
that is a super non-committal answer, JJ. Um, we have no clue. I mean, we can request game sites, but it's the Salt Lake County Super League. I mean, we've played games in Murray, we've played games in Cottonwood Heights, we've played games in Riverton, we've played games in Harriman, we've played games in Draper. We've played, yeah, it honestly, there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, I request games in Draper because I know we use APA for a lot of games, and there's a new gym out in West Jordan that has four courts in it. And so just for convenience, I've requested games on the southwest end of the valley. Sometimes he gives them to us. Sometimes he sends us to Daybreak, which is nice. And then sometimes he sends us all the way to Murray across the street from the big IHC hospital. And then sometimes he sends us down the street from Brighton High School on in Cottonwood Heights. So there's no rhyme or reason. Like I said, I try to request games in close proximity to where the majority of the parents are coming from, which usually, for the most part, is the southwest corner, the Riverton, Harriman, South Jordan, kind of sandy-ish, West Jordan-ish areas. But yeah, he'll just put us wherever, man, and it's it's weird. Like you'll see. We'll get a game, and there's times when Corey will have a game at a gym in Murray from 10 to 11, and then he'll have a game from 11 to 12 in Harriman. And so in those situations, I go and get the second game started, and then he shoots over and takes over the game, and we're usually losing. And then Corey shows up, and everybody's like, "Oh, coach is here," and then my little 10-point deficit turns into a 20-point win when Corey shows up. So yeah,
Yes.
it's hard to know where our games are going to be, but I every season, because we've had so many teams in this league for so long, I request games on the southwest end of the valley. So we usually end up either in Murray, or I try to get us games in like the South Jordan, Harriman, Riverton areas. Any anyone else? Okay. I think that's it for now. Corey and I both dropped our cell phone numbers in the chat. Obviously, we have access to all your registration information, your phone numbers and emails. So if we have questions or if we need to contact you guys directly, we'll do it there. Um, if you go into the group me, you can tap on my name or Corey's name, and you can send us a direct message. Um, Regardless of who's the head coach of what team, Corey and I are in all the group chats. So if you guys ask a question and Corey doesn't want to answer, or if it's something that he wants to forward on to me, he'll text me and say, "Hey, check the fifth grade gold group chat." And so I'll I'll go in. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Returners, you guys know I'm approachable. I'm around. You'll see me at practices. I try to come and sit with the parents and talk to you guys during games, just so you guys are familiar with who I am. My biggest fear in the world is me showing up and talking to you guys, to your kids during a game, and then your kid walks off the court and you say, "Hey, who was that guy over there talking to you?" Like, I want everybody to be familiar with me and be comfortable having a conversation and talk to me about anything, especially if it has to do with basketball shoes. I can help you pick out great basketball shoes for your kids, or for
Especially if
me.
it has to do with basketball shoes.
Yeah,
That's
basketball
great.
shoe conversations, NBA conversations, whatever you guys want to chat about. So, um, Justin, yes, thank you for sending that. Justin came with the timely message. So, parents, um, you guys are more than welcome to add other parents. I know some of you guys have people that help you with rides, family members, nannies, whoever. I know some of you guys are carpooling, which is awesome. If you guys have anyone who needs to be added to a group chat, shoot me a text and say, "Hey, can you add blank to our group chat?" And what I can do is I can actually go into GroupMe and I can send them a link that says, "Landon has invited you to the seventh grade gold GroupMe." And then they can click on it. If they don't have a GroupMe, they set it up. If they do have one, then it adds them and then they get access to our group chat. So if you have anyone that needs to be in the loop of communication, um, that isn't in the GroupMe, shoot Corey or I a text and we can make sure to get them added to it. Out of state travel. So the out of state travel thing kind of falls in the same category as the competitiveness for our divisions. So, with that said, if we are competing in local leagues and tournaments, then Corey and I want as many opportunities for these kids to be able to play out of state as possible. And it's not a status thing. That's not a status thing. It's just really fun. I mean, our our current seventh graders that were sixth graders, um, last month we went to Vegas. We didn't play our best basketball, but the boys got to hang out in the arcade. They got to spend about $100 on this game trying to get some Beats by Dre headphones, and the little crane kept picking it up and dropping it and picking it up and dropping it. Um, then, we went swimming, and it was all the younger kids were trying to gang up on the older kids, and the parents got to sit in the shade and get to know each other. And we went to the NBA Summer League and got to watch some games there. And overall, off the court, it was a really, really fun experience for the boys. And I think the parents had a really good time getting away too. We took those two teams because those two teams had really, really, really good spring seasons. Um, and not only did they play well in the spring season, they played well in some tournaments that we did as well. We lost in the championship of a tournament. Corey's team went deep into a championship of a tournament. And so when the teams are competitive, we feel like it's a good opportunity and a good experience to travel. With Denver, with Idaho, with Vegas all being in close proximity, it makes it easy for us to get out of state in an affordable road trip without having to fly to California. And so when the teams are competitive, we 100% want to reward those teams with some out of state play and getting to have those cool experiences. When the teams play at a lower level, they may not travel as they may not have the travel opportunity, but if they're not traveling, then they're probably doing more local tournaments than the teams that travel. So if we have a red team that doesn't leave the state, there's probably going to be 3 or 4 occasions where there's a local tournament and we're going to put the red team in and the gold team won't play in that tournament. And so it'll kind of balance out. but we'll kind of explain it as we get into the tournament season and as we get through the fall season and we start looking at the winter and start kind of piecing that thing together. And then we'll sit down with the parents and say, hey, we want to go to Pocatello or Boise for, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Who would be available to go on this week? And then you guys would chime in and let us know if you're available. And then we kind of go from there. So thank you for asking that, because that's a good question. You guys got good questions.
I have a question.
Chime in.
I have a question.
Yep.
Is there going to be like a list of stuff that they can't wear? I know in sports they have lots of restrictions on what you can and can't wear and things like that.
No, honestly, the beauty of AAU basketball is we don't have restrictions on jersey numbers or accessories. At the high school level, a ref has to be able to signal your number on one hand. So no numbers higher than 5 on either side of your jersey. We had one kid who said he idolizes Dennis Rodman and he wants to be number 91. So we've got kids wearing 91. We've got a kid who wanted 99. Like, there's no restrictions on numbers. I run the club program just like the high school program. Some of these kids have, bright, vibrant personalities and they want to dye their hair different colors, dye your hair. You want to wear neon green shoes with your red, white, and blue uniform, or pink shoes, wear your pink shoes, wear your neon green shoes. You don't have to match. You want to wear your leg sleeve. You want to wear your shooting sleeve. You want to wear your headband. Some of the kids that wear glasses have the little rope that connects them. Some of them wear sports goggles. Some of them wear contacts. It's, I don't believe in limiting a kid's freedom of expression or wearing their neon green shoes that don't match their outfit because it doesn't match. Let them have fun. Let them be kids and wear whatever they want. So no, we don't. If they want to wear a headband, they can. If they want to cornrow their hair, they can. I don't care. Let them have fun and come out and be themselves. As long as we get on the court and compete and we get better every practice and every game, that's the big thing that we're kind of pushing towards.
No pajama pants at practice.
No pajama pants. You can wear your pajama pants to practice, but you got to have some shorts on. Or some kids wear sweats. Bentley wears pants, like sweatpants, to practice, and it looks extremely hot and uncomfortable, but he wears sweats to practice, but he doesn't practice in his pajama pants. So if you're going to wear pajama pants, bring some shorts to change into for practice. But yeah, no pajama pants on the court, no hats on the court. I've seen kids try to wear hats during practice. We're not going to be that laid back, but yeah, for the most part, it'll be pretty simple stuff. If they have piercings, jewelry, lucky bracelets, or anything like that, if they have a bracelet on that they can't take off, have them put a wristband over it. If they have earrings, obviously, if it's less than a month, then just have them put athletic tape. I keep athletic tape in my coaching bag. Coach Corey has some. We'll just tape over the earrings if they're less than a month old. Other than that, have them pop them out and either stick them in their jersey or put them in their bag or something. But no, for the most part, we let the kids be kids and be themselves. So,
Another new person question. If a kid, or what about if a parent gets kicked out? Does the kid also face suspension or anything?
nope, absolutely not. The kids' suspensions or any disciplinary action comes from their action. So if parents are asked to leave and they have to stand outside of the immediate facility or the court area, then the kids continue to play, and once the game's over, coaches, directors, and the parents will have a conversation. But I've seen parents get kicked out and they make them go stand outside the gym, and then when the game's over, the kids can leave with the parents. But I mean, barring any unforeseen circumstances, if a parent gets asked to leave and he says, I'm taking my kid with me, and he yanks his kid out the game, other than that, the kids are fine to stay. But if it escalates to that level, we'll have a conversation after um the game, and we'll kind of address that on a case by case basis for sure. Do you use an app or some other system to keep stats? Um, so that's actually a good question. So Justin, who helped me quite a bit with who will now be our seventh grade team, when we were in Vegas, he had an app that was super user friendly, and he was able to screenshot everything and send it to me so I could kind of see it at a statistical level. Right now, we don't have a specific app. We've used a few different ones in the past. Um, I like seeing stats. I'm not like a stat nerd, but I do like to see stats, and it helps me understand on a micro level how the team performed. So that's something that we'll talk about. It may come down to a team by team decision, but as a program, top to bottom, no, there's not a central app that we use to keep stats. But it is nice to have. If we have a kid who shoots, 2 for 12 from the 3-point line, and we ask him to do other things, then we have a little bit of physical, concrete evidence to say, hey, we would like you to do something other than shoot threes, and this is why. You're shooting 17%. That's not great. So if we have stats, then that's great. It's not a requirement, but I like it. It's something that when Justin would do it for us, it was nice to have, and it gave me a little bit of insight to step back and look at the stats in the game and how the guys did, because sometimes in the game I'm not thinking. I'm telling certain guys to keep shooting and they should not be shooting, but once I can look at the stats, it'll kind of help me kind of quantify the strategies and things that we'll do with that team. So yeah, I'm not against it, but it's not something that we've done consistently. But we do have parents that record games and keep stats and then share them with the coaches. Bantam League team, and they used All Ball app for the stats portion. That, yeah,
Hey,
I've never
Landon.
really played with All Ball, but I do know that feature is in there, and we'll obviously be sending everybody team codes and things like that, so you guys will have access to the schedule as well as us posting it in the group me. So yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I've never used All Ball for stats. I've used a few different apps, but it's something that we'll definitely consider. I'll talk to Corey and see what he thinks. Justin, what were you saying about the stats?
Hey, the app that I use is called Game Changer. It's free to download. It's sponsored by Dick's Sporting Goods. And it's got all the features plus some. I've used both All Ball and Game Changer. And Game Changer for stats is probably the best one. And then I also utilize Baller TV to kind of make stats accurate in case there was something missed during the like in play game.
Yeah, and most of the tournaments we go to have Baller TV setups, and so we're able to go back and make sure we got all the right stats and everything. Let me see. Okay, I'll give you guys a few more seconds, and if you have anything else, feel free to chime in.
Just to touch on the stats, I've used a few different ones as well. It falls back on the parents because obviously the coach can't be keeping track of stats while he's doing that. So it'd be a parent volunteer that would have to know the game and different things like that as far as the stats go. But
Yeah. Yeah. And that's normally, and again, I know I keep bringing Justin up, but it was really nice to have him there because he was sitting on the bench with us as a coach. He had an unobstructed view of the game, and then Ryan sat with him as well, and they kind of tag teamed it. So if it was like a series of shot attempt, miss, rebound, shot attempt, miss, rebound, shot attempt, make, Ryan's able to verbally say it because he's watching, and Justin's able to type it in, and so those kind of things are super helpful. If we have people who are familiar with stats and you want to help the coach with stats and things like that, just reach out to us and let us know. All the help we can get is useful, and there's usually something that we could definitely use an extra set of eyes during the games or an extra set of hands during practices. So if that's something that you guys are familiar with or comfortable with as far as doing stats during games, let us know. We'll talk to you, the coaches, we'll kind of figure it out, and if it works, it'd be awesome. Let me see. Okay. I appreciate you guys coming to the call. I know it went a little longer than expected, but I do appreciate it. We're excited to get this thing going. If you guys see me at practices, at games, walking around, talking to parents, doing whatever, feel free to stop me and introduce yourself if you're one of the new parents. And I'm excited. Corey and I, this is like Christmas for us in August because we get to meet new kids and implement new things and teach the things that work to new kids and make changes to the things that maybe didn't work as well as we wanted to for the returners. And so I'm super excited. This is probably the highlight of my summer, is getting to meet new kids and get this thing going with a new group and getting out and competing and just having fun. My big thing is I always want to teach kids life lessons through basketball, and every year we kind of hit the reset button and get to teach respect for authority and respect for your opponents and how to be a grateful, gracious winner, and how to not win graciously and how to not pout about it, and how to learn from your failures and how to enjoy your successes and the work that goes into the process of getting better at something. And I think teaching these lessons when they're young kind of sets a foundation and a roadmap that they understand and carry with them through, middle school, high school, and into adulthood. So I'm super excited. It's super fun for me to get to meet new players and coach and parents, and we're ready to go. So I'll go ahead and save this on my computer. I'll create a link and I'll put it on my YouTube channel, and then I'll post the link. It usually takes me about 30 minutes for all of the downloading and uploading and stuff. So in probably the next 30-40 minutes, I'll post the link for all the parents that weren't able to make it. But thank you guys for coming. We're going to have fun. We're going to get better, and this is going to be fun.